and I've said this in a lot of different interviews, and being honest with myself, I'm scared. I'm scared each and every time. I'm scared in the back. I'm scared in that locker room. But then when we start walking towards that cage, that octagon, I am the king. I am the big dog in there. And as soon as I walk in there, my confidence just grows. And as soon as I walk in there, they are in my kingdom.
Because, like I said, there's another living legend that just came in the room. And last year, I can tell you, we had a guy speak on this stage, and I went to an event, and woo, he was put down by this man in a raw fashion. Anyways, when I called David, I said, I got an influencer, man. I was referred to this guy. We're gonna be doing some solar on his home. What can we do for him? Look, he's a big deal. As a matter of fact, somebody I know really is excited to sell solar and really wants to create a new life for himself. And I think that this guy has a ton of people that could help him. And David's like, man, that's pretty cool. I'm behind you 100%.
We'll put on the panels that work.
That's right.
That's what I said. I'll put on the good ones.
That's right, the good panels, the ones that work. Because my man had some questions. I'm not gonna lie, I went and knocked on this man. I had the butterflies in my stomach, okay? This is when I had to go to this guy's house, man. I was like, seriously, I'm gonna have to go sell this scary individual this deal. And, you know, I'm going there and I sit down in his house, he's getting shaved up. He's getting dapped up, he looks me out of his eye. And he's like, okay, now what's the deal, bro? Like, boom. And, you know, from then, of course, it was collaborate to dominate. When I called Dave, he was all behind the idea, this big campaign to knock out your power bill. This whole conference, we've weaved entrepreneurship and fighting. This man right here has an opportunity to bring a lot of people into our industry and has a lot of people on a nationwide campaign to get a lot of solar deals. So I want y'all to welcome Kamaru Usman, who's gonna be working with us, letting us put his solar on his home, the Nigerian nightmare.
All right, guys, I'm getting a little old.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, you know I'm from Dallas-Fort Worth, don't you?
I did not know that.
Yeah, man. Where you grow up?
Okay, it's great. I grew up in Arlington, Texas, which is a suburb.
Who's out there from Texas?
Dallas.
Huh? My Texas people, where you at?
So that's a suburb out of DFW. And that's where I grew up, went to high school. And of course, bounced around the Midwest a little bit. Iowa, Nebraska, Colorado.
Would you like Dallas over Nebraska?
Here.
Which one's better, Dallas or Nebraska?
Well, it depends. Those are different times in my life, you know. I mean, when you're a young man, a child growing up, it's different than when you actually become a adult in Nebraska without parents. So, yeah,
Nebraska
different times.
was nice.
So
Sounds like Nebraska will never be the same.
Nebraska was great for what Nebraska was for. You know, I went to college there, so it was great.
So, what did you think when I walked into your house to sell you solar, man?
Said, yeah, I'm gonna cut down this power bill. That's what we're gonna do. Cause I'm tired of paying what I was paying for, you know, that power bill every month. I got 3 air conditionings in my place, you know, with the whole pool, heated pool in the back.
See, that's what you don't realize, man. People are already thinking about it. Somebody already hit you up, right?
Yeah. We talked.
Couple people though before me had asked if you were interested in solar.
Yes, I was actually, I looked into solar for the first time, I want to say about 1.5 years ago, in Dallas, at my parents' home. And I looked at it, they hit us up, they told us, okay, this is what they offered. And, you know, it just didn't seem enticing enough. So I said, you know what, we'll visit it when we come back to it. And now, getting into my place here in Florida, which is even sunnier, it's a no-brainer.
This is a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, no-brainer.
Hey, I lived in Texas and I lived in Florida. I'm sorry, I prefer South Florida. But you know, here you are, it kind of in a place where, I don't know if y'all follow, well you follow UFC, but this man is lapping the competition. He's beating up on people. They're coming back for seconds. He's beating up on them again. Now, one thing I gotta say is like, you know, a guy's a guy kind of trying to be at the top of the game and stay there. How do you keep your edge? For me, it's,
you know, a lot of people grow up and they say, oh man, I always dreamt of being Olympic champion all my life. I dreamt of being this all my life. I'm honest about it. I didn't necessarily do that. You know, I did have some conversation with my mom growing up and my parents to where I had a feeling that I was meant for something bigger. To where I was in middle school, I was in high school, where football or basketball or the sports that we were in, that was the biggest thing to them. But deep down inside, I knew I was meant for something bigger. And I knew that because each and every goal that I set for myself, as soon as I accomplished it, mentally was what was next. And it wasn't until I got into college, of course, I knew I wanted to be a national champion. That was it. I was working hard for that. I was working so hard. I was eat, sleep, breathe. I changed my whole complete life for that. And senior year, I ended up accomplishing that. And I remember we got it done in Omaha, Nebraska was a national championship. And when we got it done, I was dating a girl in college, and so we went to the hotel bar, and we're sitting at the bar, and I ordered a rum and Coke, first one I had all year. I was like, let me get a rum and Coke. So we got 2 rum and Cokes, we're sitting there. I had one sip of it, and then it hit me. The goal that I just set for myself, I just achieved it. What was next? And I was sitting there with her, I'm like, I'm gonna go be Olympic champion. And right there at that moment, I knew that, okay, I didn't necessarily, that wasn't my dream, that wasn't my goal to be Olympic champion, but, you know, I'm a product of progression. I always want to get better. I always want to, what's next? And after that, I went for that, tried to be Olympic champion. You know, things happened. That wasn't the goal anymore, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go be UFC champion. I left the Olympic Training Center in 2012. There was no doubt in my mind that I was going to become the world champion. I don't know how. Maybe that was a crazy person thinking. I don't know how, but I just knew I was going to be champion. And I changed back then. It was Twitter. Instagram wasn't that big. I didn't have an account, but I got a Twitter account. And I put on their future UFC champion. And went and had ups and downs in my careers, injuries, a lot of different things, but the day I achieved that, you know, it was a moment that I was just like, I had to sit there and having to change that future, take that off of my Twitter handle. It just hit me like, okay, well, what's next? But then I realized, in order for me to stay here, I can't think like a champion. A lot of people say that, and I've done plenty of interviews. I don't think like, okay, I'm a champion, I'm defending this. Because when I go out to compete, and the announcer comes out and he's announcing us, he says reigning, defending. My mind doesn't think that. Because the hungriest person that I am going to face is that #1 contender each and every time. That's the baddest man next in line beside myself. So if I think that way, I'm always that guy. I'm always that guy coming up. Each and every time I am fighting for the title. I'm not defending this, I'm fighting for it. Because I still want to be offensive. If I'm thinking defense, then I'm just trying to hold off something that's inevitable. But I'm trying to win this each and every time. So I think that's something that gives me an edge and why I stay the way I do. And, you know, I'm still hungry.
Let's give him a round of applause on that one, man. Keep going with that, man. Bam. So now it gets good, because about a year ago, you know, Jorge came and spoke here last, and you know, he did a good job. He was a humble
I like
guy.
Jorge.
Yeah, I know, he was humble, but he was hungry, man. This was his chance, you know. And you know, I actually was there in that room, and no masks, for the first time. But walk us through, you know, what was going through your mind that fight.
Well, I mean, both fights with Jorge was challenging for me. The first one was obviously on the 6 days notice, flying halfway across the world. And yeah, of course it's tough for him because he took the fight on 6 days notice, and having to fly across the world and actually compete with me, to where, you know, I was dealing with a lot of different things. I had a broken nose going into it, and my original opponent canceled. So now I'm having to fly back home. So it was actually less than 6 days notice for me. So he committed, he signed, And then they told my manager, and then my manager called me the next morning and said, hey, where are you? And I was in between. I was actually in Dallas at the airport. I just pulled up to the airport. There was a nice little cantina restaurant in the airport. So I went in and I said, you know what? It's been about 6 months. Haven't had a beer. Let's have a beer. So I get a beer, order a couple of tacos, and then there's a young lady sitting at the table next to me. She's not bad looking. You know, so she's sitting there and she's, I think she ordered food. Her food wasn't up yet. So I'm sitting at my table and I'm about to I'm literally opening the beer. I get a FaceTime call from my manager. And when he calls me FaceTime, he wants to talk. So I answer and he goes, hey, where are you? I'm like, I'm in Dallas at the airport. And he goes, Masvidal signed. You got to fight. Yeah, let's close that beer back up. And it's so funny how life works. I could have been any other airport in the world, but I was in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport.
International.
My parents live in Dallas-Fort Worth. I said, okay. I called my mom and dad. I said, hey, I need you guys to come pick me up. They came and picked me up, and I said, first things first, let's go to Target. Let's get a scale. I need to find out how much I weigh because I went crazy last night eating everything possible. So I went back, got on the scale, 192 pounds. Not good. I fight at 170. So, and the fight was 5 days away now. I said, oh, crap. So I stayed up all that night. I called one of the coaches that I knew in Dallas-Fort Worth, and he came out and worked out with me. Got off about 6 pounds, and I said, okay, I'm striking distance. I can do this. And did the whole process. Flew to Vegas. My bags were sent to Florida because they were in between flights. They were automatically checked to Florida, so I didn't have many bags. So I just went back to Vegas, had to quarantine for a whole 24 hours, then get on the flight, fly all the way to Abu Dhabi, quarantine for those 48 hours, and in those 48 hours, I had to cut weight. It was difficult. But the one thing that was the most difficult was this narrative and the story that was built into it. It was incredible. Jorge taking the fight on 6 days' notice, flying halfway across the world to do the impossible, do the unthinkable, become the champion, something that's eluded him for all of his career. And all I could do is, you know, I'm confined in this room. All I could do is watch SportsCenter and TV, and all I'm doing is watching this over and over and over. And then, of course, you're watching the highlight of Jorge flying across the cage and knocking this guy out with the knee and just crushing this guy. And I'm watching this over and over and over in my hotel room. And so I started thinking, damn, is this going to happen to me? You know, and at this time, you know, they were calling him Street Jesus.
Street Jesus. He was out there being Street Jesus.
He was baptizing everybody, you know, with violence.
Been baptizing folks.
And so
at restaurants.
Exactly. So now I'm starting to see all this, and I'm thinking in my head, is he going to baptize me? What's going on? And I would say of course, each and every fight that I go into, I'm scared. I'm be honest with you guys, I'm scared. If anyone says that they're not scared or they're not worried, either they're psychotic or they're madman. I'm scared. But in this fight, I was extra scared. I'm in my hotel room. All I can watch is highlights of him flying across the cage and knocking someone out. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is gonna happen. This could happen to me. This could happen. And of course, there's a few hours, during fight day, there's a few hours that you could either be in your room alone, or you could have, your coaches and friends around you. I don't like that. I like to be in my room alone because at the end of the day, I have to get inside that cage alone. No one can help me. And so a lot of the fights I like to think is won and lost in that period, in that time. And so I'm in there and I'm just processing all of this alone and I'm thinking, this guy could baptize me. And we all know the world that we live in now. You'll be a meme for a long time.
Memed up.
And I'm thinking all of this, and I'm just going, oh, okay, relax. You can deal with this. Relax. You've been here before. I've been in tons of wrestling tournaments. Been in finals of wrestling tournaments. I've been in national championship finals. I've been all these places. You can do this. And so I had to just calm myself down, and And the one thing you guys didn't realize that sucked about this for us is usually when we're here in the States, we fight at night. So, you know, me now being that I headline most of the cards that I'm on, I fight typically 12 a.m. or about 11, depending on which part of the country we're in. But now we're in Abu Dhabi, and I'm going to fight at 7 a.m. And so 7 a.m., I'm just getting up to get my daughter up for school. And so now I have to actually compete at 7 a.m. So now this is challenging. They had to get me in. So now I'm walking to the arena, and I'm feeling all of this. And I went out, and you know, moments, and I've said this in a lot of different interviews, and being honest with myself, I'm scared. I'm scared each and every time. I'm scared in the back. I'm scared in that locker room. But then when we start walking towards that cage, that octagon, I am the king. I am the big dog in there. And as soon as I walk in there, my confidence just grows. And as soon as I walk in there, they are in my kingdom. And I look at them, and I have to melt. I melt them with my confidence. I melt them with my energy, my presence. And then we start fighting. In that first fight with Jorge Masvidal, it was like he gave up such a good presence to where it was like, oh, I'm not fazed by you. I'm not fazed by it. To where he almost kind of worried me, like, damn, he's not fazed by me. And then we fought, and I realized I did something that I've made a promise to myself that I would never do. And I was safe. In my mind, I feel like I've worked so hard all through the years to where I'm just exponentially better than these guys, to where I felt, okay, I'm going to be safe and just get the win. I have a broken nose. I have a big bunion on my right one that's killing me. I'm going to be safe. And I was safe. And when I won, I finished, I was in the back of that. I was so disappointed in myself that I won the fight. I'm the champion. I kept my belt. But I was so disappointed, and I was like, you know what? No, I have to. If I'm ever given that opportunity again, I'm going to fight that fight again. I'm going to fight that differently. And so, of course, I had to fight the next fight, which was Burns. But after that fight, I was so upset. It was still burning at me to where I called him out. I was in the back, and I said, you know what? Give me that fight. I want that one. He had an excuse, and he said, he took it on 6 days' notice. Give him 6 weeks. He'll beat me. I said, all right. You have your 6. I'll give you 2 months. Let's see if you can do it. So I had something to prove in that one. So I wanted to knock his head into the back rafters in that one. And I damn near did.
Yeah, man, that was incredible, dude. I was sitting in the cage. I was sitting 6, 7 rows back, and I watched.
So you caught his head.
I watched you walk up to Jorge. Everybody's chanting Jorge. What'd you do? Did you do like that to him? Or?
I did the signature thing that I did.
Yeah,
just let them know that, hey, you are in my kingdom now. And it's going to be a long night.
Oh, boy. And let me tell you, man, it was tough. It was a tough night in the office. He took it like a champ, though. He was humble.
Oh, yeah. And this is the thing with me is there's a misconception with a lot of fighters that people get. People think that, they're just fighters. They're not. They have no brain. They can't do anything else. You know, and that's because fighting knows no language, no country, no ethnicity, no bounds, no educational level. And I think people misconstrue that to where they think, fighters, this is all they have. They have nothing else. I chose to do this. I'm educated. I went to college. I went to high school. You know, I chose to fight. I don't have to do it. I could get a job. I could work for Lee. I could potentially own the company.
Everyone's working for Lee. We're all working for him.
And so I chose to do that. And so mentally it's a thing that I carry around to where everyone thinks, okay, yeah, like fighters are just, they can do nothing else. Yeah, I'm choosing to do this. And each and every time that I'm able to step in there, I understand that I'm choosing to do this. So I'm going to put my best foot forward, and I'm going to give all of me. Because, I understand. One day it's here, and then, the next day it's gone. I have a 7-year-old. I could have sworn we had her yesterday. So I do understand that about myself.
Well, what's your vision for your legacy? Do you fight for legacy? Is that important to you?
That's another tricky one. A lot of people like to say, this is my legacy, my legacy, my legacy. I don't really look for that. You know, when you're too far ahead, you're not paying attention to what's going on right here. You could stumble and trip. And then now you're not talking about anything up there. You know, I worry about the next one and the next one. And I started thinking like that because my second professional fight, I actually lost. And the reason was, for the first time, I underestimated someone. You know, my whole teammates were telling me, oh, man, you're going to kill this guy. This guy's not that good. He's not on your level. You're going to kill him. So a piece of me started to believe that. I was like, man, I'm the shit. I can beat these guys. And I went into the fight, and he showed me something I'd never seen before. And I got beat. And I remember that feeling. And I made a deal with myself that was a feeling I would never feel again. So each and every time I step in there, I want to be equipped with as much knowledge as possible. And so for me, it's about the next one. Because it's difficult. You know, in my mind, when I switched careers and I was going to be a fighter, I was going to be undefeated, retired, maybe 50-0, a lot of money, and do nothing else. But now I'm 1-1, going into the third professional fight. I'm like, oh, man, I suck. And so it's a big, deep hole to crawl out of. And the way that I was able to do that is just knowing that, hey, focus on the next one. And the next one, and the next one. Next thing you knew it, I was 5-1, and I was like, man, 5-1, I'm doing something here. And then I think it was maybe the Covington fight, for someone, reminded me, hey, you are 18 or 19-1 or something like that. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of fights. I didn't think I've fought that many times. But I'm just focused on the next one. If I'm able to get through the next one and the next one, by the time I'm done, everyone is going to say, hey, look back on all the work that you've done.
Legacy's already going to happen anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You can't, that's not something you necessarily control. As long as you do your job, that's going to be there.
That's an important thing, doing your job. I was listening to what Kobe Bryant described as what the Mamba mentality was about. And he said it was always about being willing to learn more. And, but what do you think is your, key driver? What's your big thing?
Well, initially it was competition. I'm going to be honest. When I left the Olympic Training Center, I could have went and got a job. I was actually, when I moved down here and I started fighting, after about 6-7 months, I really didn't have a fight. And I was like, you know what? I should just be a cop. It's shooting. I can wrestle. I'm smart. This is going to be a cop. They make good money, benefits. Let's do that. And, I had good friends that just told me, stick with it. Keep working at it and working at it. And I knew I wanted to compete so bad. It's just something about competition. I don't know about you guys, but as a man, mano a mano, you're in there, you're competing against this other person, and you're able to best that person on that day. It's something so addictive about that for me, that why I keep coming back. And that was the biggest drive for me for the longest. But then, I'm a girl dad now. So you have a child. And I'm like, you know what? I want her to go to a nice private school. So let's work a little bit harder. We got to make a little bit more money. And so now it's family. And then it's like, oh, my parents, I want them to have an easier process going out. Yeah, so it started as competition, but now with my family and my daughter, it's a lot bigger than that.
Now, I know your dad's an entrepreneur. What's the biggest lessons that you've learned from your dad? I'm partners with my dad. He's a big role model and coach for me in my life.
Yeah, my dad is like, business is business and friendship is friendship. You have to understand it too. Not that you can't be friends with your business partners, but you have to understand that business is business and friendship is friendship, or whatever else is different. It's very seldom that those lines do blur. But if they do, you have to still understand that business is business. And if you do good business, you'll be okay in that realm.
It worked out good in this deal.
What?
Because Cosmo's his friend.
Oh, yeah.
And Cosmo trains with him. And Cosmo's my coach. Cosmo's a world-class Muay Thai striker. Cosmo's like, Usman, he's interested in solar. Let's go sell a solar deal. And
that's kind of how he sounds.
And so, of course, I'm like fanboy. I get to go to Usman's house. I'm freaking out. But, we made him an offer, and he's like, man, I'll think about it. And then you send it off to the people, and the deal was twice as good. So Dad's lessons paid off, right?
Of course.
Oh yeah, man. It's just the beginning, man, because, I see a future in helping fighters get into our trade to earn a living, people that follow the UFC. It's not about doing the jobs, it's about selling them, and roofing and solar is everywhere. It's kind of a vehicle to the American dream. Inflation's kind of kicking everyone's ass. So I just know, like, your platform, what you represent, not being willing to quit, being disciplined. I was at your house and he was going through his fridge for men's health fitness, and this guy's talked about what percentage body fat you?
I'm a little fat right now, but we're sitting probably like 8, 9.
Oh God, come on, bro. 8,
Makes 3 of us, I think. All 3 of us.
Runs around like 6% body fat, dude. This guy's a freak, and it's like a lot of it is like the discipline of a wrestler, because wrestling is like a whole different world. And how did that conditioning or discipline kind of condition you for success in your whole life?
Yeah, I like to say all the time that I've been blessed. I'm just a small boy from Auchi, Nigeria, who immigrated to Arlington, Texas, and then found the sport of wrestling, and it completely changed my life to where wrestling's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life because it taught me so much. And I remember, even my first ever wrestling practice where I got beat up by a girl. And from that day, I understood something very, very, very important. I was playing football and then got into wrestling. And wrestling it was the hardest thing, most difficult thing I've ever done. It took me away from football. And I don't know if that just speaks on my personality, but I just gravitated towards the hardest thing possible that I could have done. But what I liked about it was in football, we lost the football game. We're in the locker room, and the quarterback is over there in the locker room saying, man, if the wide receiver had caught the ball, we would have won. Then the running backs had the line and blocked for me, we would have won. And then the lineman goes, the running back hadn't fumbled, we would have won. All these different excuses going on. And in that wrestling room, if I lost, I lost. I didn't do enough. And so all throughout my career, wrestling has taught me that, I get out what I put in. If I put that effort in and I leave no stone unturned, when I step out of into that octagon, even now, hey, I'm going to be okay with that result because I know I did everything that I possibly could.
Hell yeah, man. Give me a round of applause on that. Now, a lot of these guys are trying to build a team. They have that real self-reliance. And one thing people don't realize about making it in his world is that you need coaches, you need a team. So what's the importance of having a team, and how do you manage only worrying about yourself and having a team and being successful in what you do?
It's extremely important because you need a support system. Nobody does it alone, no matter what you think. No one ever does it alone. Because we're not here alone. You still have a mom and dad. And if your mom and dad aren't by your side, don't teach you or rear you to a certain point, no one really does it alone. And so in understanding where I am now, I need my coaches. At the end of the day, yes, I have to go in there and I have to make it happen. But I need that guidance. I have to be able to prepare for that. I need my team around me. I need my team to be able to help me eat properly, even though I like to eat properly, but at the same time, someone has to cook it. So I need my team to be able to do that. I need my coach to be able to tell me, hey, you're going too hard, back off. Because that's a tendency of what I do. I run myself into the ground. So I need my coach to be able to tell me, hey, take a day off. Don't hurt yourself. Or do this, do a little more of this. So let's focus a little more on that. It's very, very important to have your team behind you because, without that team support, it's very hard to get to the level that you want to get to. And then, of course, for me now, it's also empowering because you get to empower your team. Yes, at the end of the day, you have to step in there and make things happen. So if you're doing that, you have to think of the example that you're setting for your team. At some point, you have to learn to follow it in order for you to be a leader.
Oh yeah, there you go. Give him a round of applause. Kamaru Usman, man. So I got something special. We're wrapping this up. It's gonna be incredible here, guys. Y'all are gonna get to see something really, really cool. I thought we could bring all the worlds together, that y'all could kind of experience some of this cool moment here, hanging out with the champ, the greatest pound for pound fighter on earth. And so listen, Kamaru, like my guys, my coaching and my group, I take contractors and they want to grow. They want to roll with me in the jiu-jitsu gym. They want to get better. And some of them do. They win championships. They double, triple sales. They become blue collar millionaires. And the guys that come last year, some of them said, you know what? They watch guys get belts. Like, man, I'm going to be on that stage. I'm going to be there getting recognized. I'm all in. I'm taking the risk. I'm going to do it. And they fought all year for the opportunity to be recognized. So it'd be an honor, bro, if you could strap them with the belts. We've got belts. Bring the belts out. Bring the belts out. All right. All right. And this is for roofing sales growth. And
Roofing Sales Championship. Okay.
Roofing Sales Championships, guys. To earn these belts next year, you got to fight in the cage. No, I'm just playing. But seriously, get to training, because we be calling people out. We need more fighters. We need more fighters. So here's the deal, guys. We've talked about a lot of different case studies. We talked about a lot of examples, and I want you to vision yourself being recognized in front of your peers right here. This could be you. If you're willing to do whatever it takes, look, the American dream is possible. This man started on a farm. He had only built 3 jobs before he came to this conference last year. He invested in my program, did $1.8 million in sales. The first, and it's funny, the first company's name is Titan. Titan is the winner of the first championship belt, Trey Hostetler. This man is a hunter. He's an elk hunter.
Talk about the name.
Next thing we know, we'll have Trey in the jiu-jitsu gym. He'll be in the cage. Hell yeah, man. Yeah, give him a round of applause. Hey, we're in a hurry, but Trey's gonna be on our winners panel, and you're gonna hear all about how he did it. Y'all give him a round of applause right now, one more time. Lightweight champion, Trey Hostetler. All right. Next, we've got somebody that said, hey, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna be there on this stage. And I showed you some pictures, and maybe you are feeling a little stagnant. You're feeling a little burnt out. Anybody getting energized by what's going on in this room? Anybody feeling motivated? Hey, was this man a great speaker that motivated you to go out there and tackle your challenges? Well, look, man, my man came in last year, he was a little burnt out, but he left on fire. His business went from a couple of people from doing 2 million to 5.2 million. And his name is Sterling. Sterling from Renaissance Contracting. Come on up here. Sterling is from Detroit, Michigan. He is a retail contractor. He got the video ad. The build video was key to his success. He documented the build video. It started with a lot of leads. Then he needed salesmen. That was all after he got his production manager. Guys, there's always a hole in the boat sometimes. If you plug that hole, you're only one person away from the big change. And when he came to do his podcast, he went to do jiu-jitsu with me. This big boy right here, you know, what happened? I'm just no. He went with me, with Muhammad, with everybody. But at the end of the practice, he probably got like submitted like a few times, maybe.
A few times. I kept coming. I got submitted like 8 times.
This man wouldn't stop, dude, and he had fun. He was a smile on his face when he left. So give him a round of applause. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. All right. All right, next is another big winner who's claimed his fame. This guy right here, dude, you have to speak your truth and put it in existence. Guys, I want you to write down your goals. What is it? Okay? I don't care what it is. All right, now I want you to tell somebody about it. Now I want you to make it public. This man put it on Twitter that he was gonna be the freaking future UFC champ. And look at him now. All right, that's what this guy did, Scott. Scott with Mammoth, come on up here and get your belt. He called the color of the belt. Scott is the recruiting funnel king. He figured out how to separate the serious from the curious with the recruiting funnel. We had a recruiting challenge. This is the National Roofing League, a contest that we have for roofing salespeople, the people in our network. And he actually won $10,000 because right before Christmas, he had his team. He had guys dressed up in mammoth suits. They're out doing crazy recruiting stuff. Got tons of people, man. Congratulations, brother. Can't wait to hear what you did to do this, buddy. All right, give him a round of applause. Next, we have somebody who continues to stay coachable. Now, one thing about Kamaru is like, he corrected me really quick about the legacy. Y'all notice that? Like, nah, dude, I gotta worry about my next fight. All right. And, what's important is that this guy's kind of had the same mentality. A lot of times I see guys have success in the program and they stop coming back for information. This guy keeps coming back. He keeps wanting to contribute. His business keeps growing. And it's that Mamba mentality that you got to learn more. And so, at first he thought, I don't know if you can help me, Lee. I'm not door to door. I'm not insurance. The first year his business, it went from 2 to 8 million. He got a championship belt. What was he going to do this year? I don't know. But his business went from 8 to $20 million with Ricky Sothers Contracting. Give him a round of applause. Ricky is a social sales king. In New Hampshire, he gets the leads through video. He closes mostly cash deals, uses financing, has an incredible retail sales process. He's going to be speaking later. Look, success creates new problems. And this year, his company tackled those new problems in a way he's going to share with you that's going to get your team in alignment. So pumped up about what he's going to do to further everybody. Coach, he's a leader in our community. Give one more round of applause for Ricky Sothers. Last but not least, these guys, they grew exponentially. When they first came to me, they were already successful. And they had a very, very successful podcast with me that started trending on YouTube. And it was from gym rat to blue collar millionaire. They started off as lifetime fitness trainers and coaches, and they recruited a community of like-minded men and women that were like them. And when they came to me, they were looking to build their brand. And over the last couple of years, they've held events with Ryan Serhant. They've multiplied their sales team. They've been recognized by Owens Corning as a top growing contractor. But their business has grown from it's been 2.5 years or so. But their business has grown from $13 million to $40 million. And they currently re-back enrolled in the program, and they're reinvesting into building their brand. And we had something amazing happen. As bodybuilders, these guys, Phil Heath randomly reached out to me. He's gonna be speaking later on, and these guys they're bodybuilders. So it was amazing to have them be a part of this mission. Let's recognize Lifetime, Zach and Alex. All right. These guys are legends in the game. One of the things that they're going to be talking about is their journey from fitness guys to blue-collar millionaires, but they fought back. When the insurance companies changed the rules, they sued the state of Florida and had a law that said that we couldn't use the term hail damage or claim in our advertisements. And they fought the insurance, this lobby, and this lobby's now attacking them in this deep lawsuit, but they didn't care. It was their cost. The law was overturned as unconstitutional. Let's give them a round of applause. We'll be hearing from these guys later. Hey, guys, we got a special video for you. One more time, let's give Kamaru a round of applause. Say thank you. Very grateful for your time. Thank you so much, bro. Oh my God, we did great. Killed it.